She left her kids with me, then sent someone to hurt me when I said I couldn't do it anymore. She wanted a vacation. I just wanted to survive. Family can take advantage of you in ways strangers never could. I learned that the hard way. The night my sister Maya knocked on my door with her 2 kids and a suitcase she didn't plan on carrying back. It was a Thursday evening in June. Hot. The kind of thick, sticky heat that makes everything feel heavier than it is. I'd just gotten home from work, kicked off my shoes, and microwaved leftovers when I heard the knock. I opened the door and there she was, Maya. Hold a toddler on her hip, a 6-year-old clinging to her leg, and the fakest please don't ask questions smile I'd ever seen. Hey, Jules, I need a favor. Those words. I should have shut the door. Instead, I stepped aside and let her in. She set the kids down, dropped her suitcase with a thud in the hallway, and exhaled dramatically like she'd just carried her entire life uphill. It's just for a few days. I booked a retreat. Mental reset, you know? I blinked. A few days? What kind of retreat? Well, it's in Bali. So, a couple weeks. 8. Tops. I laughed. Wait, you're serious? She nodded, pulling out a phone with a screen still showing her flight confirmation. Listen, you're good with kids. I can't afford a sitter. And Mom said no. That last line hit harder than she realized. Mom had said no, which meant Maya had already tried dumping them elsewhere. I was the backup plan. I looked at the kids. Timmy and Ava. They were sitting on my couch, pulling at the TV remote like it was a lifeline. They looked exhausted, dirty, like they hadn't been bathed in days. I swallowed the lump in my throat. You didn't pack anything for them, I said. Yeah, I figured you'd have clothes. I'll PayPal you. She never did midnight. She was gone and no kiss goodbye. No emergency numbers. No medication list. Just a note on my fridge that said, you're a lifesaver. See you in August. Maya. And just like that, I was a single parent of 2, with no warning, no consent, no escape. Day 1, Timmy cried when I tried to get him into a bath. Ava screamed that she wanted chicken nuggets, not the grilled cheese I made. The house looked like a crime scene by noon. I called Maya, straight to voicemail. I texted her, no reply. That night, I couldn't sleep. The toddler kept waking up. Ava wet the bed and blamed me. I kept asking myself the same thing. Why did I say yes? Day 2, I tried to get them dressed. Nothing fit. Ava refused to wear the shoes I had. Timmy had a rash I didn't recognize. I drove to urgent care, waited 3 hours, and found out he was allergic to strawberries. I had fed him strawberries. More. Crying. This time from me. Day 3. My boss emailed me a gentle warning. Performance has slipped. Everything okay at home? I lied. I said yes. I lied because I didn't know what else to say. Who would believe this? That your own sister could abandon her children on you without a second thought? By the end of week 1, I had washed every I owned, twice cooked 14 meals. No one Ada cried 6 separate times in the laundry room and Googled, can I legally leave kids with CPS if they're not mine? The answer? Complicated. Maya hadn't signed over custody. There were no guardianship papers. And the last time I mentioned CPS to her over text, she wrote back, don't be dramatic. You're the aunt. You're supposed to help. That word, supposed, clung to me like mold. I started documenting everything. The missed calls, screenshots of unanswered text, photos of her kids sleeping in makeshift beds. She didn't know what I'd do with it. But something told me this wasn't going to end with a thank you card. 2 weeks in, the kids started asking questions. When's mommy coming back? Can I call her? Why doesn't she answer your phone? I didn't have answers. Just more cartoons, snacks, and soft reassurances I didn't believe. Ava started clinging to me like I was her anchor. Timmy cried every night for his mom. But when I asked what Maya did with them before, Ava said, she sleeps a lot. Sometimes we eat cereal, or she goes out. 8 years old. He was already more parent than child. By week 3, I was having nightmares, not about Maya, but about me, about being stuck, losing my job, losing myself. This wasn't babysitting anymore. It was survival. And Maya? She was still posting bikini pics on Instagram. Hashtag healing, hashtag mental health matters, hashtag hot girl summer. I started calling mom. Desperate. She said, you should have said no, Jules. You're always trying to be the good one. Well, now you've got to finish what you started. And then she hung up. That was the moment I realized something I wish I'd understood sooner. They weren't just taking advantage of me. They expected me to suffer in silence. That night, I stood in front of my bathroom mirror, looked at my tired, sunken face and made a decision. If Maya didn't return by the weekend, I was calling child services. I thought that would be the hard part. It wasn't. The hard part was what happened after. I used to think I was good with kids. That illusion shattered by day 3. By day 7, I was Googling, can extreme fatigue cause hallucinations? While Timmy threw applesauce at the wall and Ava cried because I cut her toast the wrong way, every day felt like a countdown to collapse. I kept expecting to hear from Maya. A message, a check-in, anything. But her silence was louder than the screaming toddlers in my living room. I was alone, and it was starting to show. The first full Monday, I woke up late. I'd been up with Timmy 3 times that night, once for a nightmare, once for a stomachache, and once because he thought the cat was sad. I don't have a cat. When I finally rolled out of bed, Ava was already on the couch, watching YouTube on my iPad with chocolate smeared across her cheek. Timmy had spilled milk on the carpet, and cereal, and himself. You're up late, Ava said. That was the first moment I realized something terrifying. They were getting used to this. To me, to this house, to this being home. They hadn't even asked about Maya that morning. Work didn't go well. I had 2 meetings back to back, both of which I joined from the bathroom while hiding from the chaos outside the door. My manager texted afterward, everything okay? You seemed distracted. Distracted. Understatement of the UI lunch. I'd burned the grilled cheese, cut my finger on a butter knife, and spilled juice down the cabinet doors, and Timmy, bless his chaos, had flushed one of my earrings down the toilet just to see if it would swim. That night, after I finally got them to sleep both in oversized t-shirts I'd found in a laundry basket, I sat on the kitchen floor and cried. I cried because I was tired. I cried because my sister had dumped this on me and vanished like it was nothing. But mostly I cried because I had no idea what I was doing, and no one was coming to help. By day 4, I was running out of food. I took them to the grocery store. Worst mistake of my life. Ava wanted everything with sugar in it. Timmy screamed anytime I pushed a cart faster than a slow crawl. A woman gave me a dirty look when I snapped, "No, you can't have Oreos for lunch," a little too loudly to checkout. My card got declined. Turns out, I'd paid for a whole week of groceries and diapers on my credit card, one Maya never offered to reimburse. Ever. I told the cashier to put some things back. Ava started crying. The baby followed. Everyone stared. I wanted to disappear. Later that night, I texted Maya, "Me, you need to Venmo me. I'm buying everything for your kids." Her, "Girl, I'm on vacation. I needed this. You'll survive." No apology. No acknowledgement. Just a flippant brush off, as if I wasn't keeping her children alive while she sipped drinks on a beach. I almost blocked her. Almost. But I needed the texts. They were becoming evidence. On day 5, I gave up trying to work. I told my job I was sick and took unpaid leave. My boss didn't ask many questions, just said, "Hope you feel better." If she knew the truth, I don't know if she would have felt pity or rage, probably both. That day, Ava had a meltdown because I wouldn't let her use my phone to download some random Roblox game. She kicked a hole in the drywall, actually kicked a hole. She was 7. I just sat on the floor and watched it happen. It's weird, the moment when your brain just gives up. You don't yell, you don't cry, you just exist and let chaos win. That was the moment I knew I couldn't do this for another 7 weeks. Then came day 6. The power went out, not from a storm, from me forgetting to pay the bill. Maya's kid screamed in the dark. Timmy wouldn't sleep without the nightlight. Ava cried because her tablet died mid-video. I found a flashlight and sat with them in the hallway, using my phone to play lullabies until they fell asleep. I stared at the ceiling, feeling the silence pressing in around me. The darkness didn't scare me. What scared me was how normal this was starting to feel. Day 7 started with a call from the building manager. "There's been noise complaints. Kids screaming, things banging. Can you keep it down?" I wanted to scream myself. Instead, I apologized, promised to fix it, and realized something awful. No one knew the truth. Not my job, not my landlord, not even my friends. To them. I was just a stressed out and babysitting for a bit. To me. I was surviving someone else's mess. I stood in the kitchen, holding my coffee cup, and whispered to no one, "This isn't babysitting anymore. This is abandonment. And abandonment comes with consequences." That night, I dug through Maya's suitcase. I found a crumpled envelope of unpaid bills, a letter from her landlord threatening if shown a prescription bottle for anti-anxiety meds nearly full, but no birth certificates, no medical records, no school info, nothing that showed she had prepared for her kid to be gone 8 weeks, because she didn't plan for them to be gone. She planned to leave them. There's a difference. I stayed up late again that night, staring at the ceiling. I was barely eating. My fridge was half empty. My hands were shaking from too much coffee and not enough sleep. And then, just after midnight, I got a text. "Maya, OMG, Bolly is beautiful. I'm never coming home," followed by a selfie of her on a boat with men I'd never seen before. Champagne, big sunglasses, bikini. The rage I felt wasn't even hot. It was cold. Quiet. It settled in my bones and said, "Enough." And so, I made a new plan. Not one Maya would like, but one I could live with, because I couldn't keep doing this. I couldn't survive another week, and deep down I knew, if I didn't take control of the situation soon, something would break. And I wasn't sure if it would be the kids or me. I tried to keep the two parts of my life separate. Work polished, composed, professional. Home screaming, sticky, broken. For the first week, I thought I could juggle it. I muted Zoom meetings, threw goldfish crackers at the kids like bribes, and smiled through every "sorry, you're frozen on my screen" moment, like my world wasn't unraveling behind the camera. But reality has a funny way of crashing through your mask. And mine shattered on day 10. He started with an email from our "Hi Julia. We've noticed several missed deadlines and delays in communication. Is everything okay?" I stared at it for a full minute, trying to breathe. Everything was not okay. The only deadlines I'd met that week were baths, tantrums, and bedtime. I typed and deleted a dozen replies. My sister dumped her kids on me and vanished. I'm basically a hostage with diapers and debt. Please send help and snacks. What I finally sent was safe. Apologies. Some unexpected family responsibilities came up. I'll be back on track this week. A lie, but a pretty one. That same day, during a status call, Timmy ran into the room shirtless and screaming. I peed on the rug, right behind him. Ava marched in with a toy sword and shouted, "You're a bad mother." My manager blinked. "Julia, do you need to reschedule?" I didn't even respond. I just turned off my camera, muted myself, and put my head in my hands. 10 minutes later, my boss texted me directly, "Take the rest of the day off. We'll talk tomorrow." That talk came faster than I wanted. By Wednesday, I got the official message. "We'll be temporarily reassigning your current projects to ensure continuity. Please take time to manage your personal situation." Translation: you're on thin ice. And everyone knows it. I wasn't surprised. I was juggling too much too fast. Meetings overlapped with meals, reports got postponed, and half my emails went unanswered because I had sticky fingers typing on my laptop while bouncing a toddler. I'd built my career carefully over 6 years, and now it was unraveling because of a vacation I never agreed to. That night, I called Maya again, straight to voicemail. I didn't even leave a message, just stared at my screen, numb. I wanted to scream at her. I wanted to tell her that her choices were costing me everything: my job, my savings, my peace, but she wasn't listening. She hadn't been listening since the day she showed up up, I tried talking to mom again. Maybe she could help talk some sense into Maya, or at least take the kids for a weekend, but when I called, she sounded annoyed. You've always been dramatic. Julia, it's just a couple kids. Your sister's going through a lot. She's in Bali, mom. She deserves a break. You've always had it easier than her. That broke something in me. I had it easier. Maya had made every wrong turn possible. She dropped out of school, picked abusive men, spent rent money on tattoos and trips, and every time she hit a wall, she landed in my lap crying, broke, and full of promises she never kept. But I had it easier. That night, I stopped asking for help from anyone. I went back to documenting everything. I took photos of the house, the messes, the broken furniture, the notes I left myself taped to the fridge to remember medicine doses. I took screenshots of every ignored text, every call that went unanswered, and I saved them all in a folder labeled evidence for when this blows up. I didn't know what I was building the case for yet, but I had a feeling I'd need it. Then came the meeting I couldn't skip, a quarterly check-in with upper management. Cameras on. Everyone dressed like they weren't 2 seconds away from falling apart. I wore a blazer over pajama pants. I muted my mic every 60 seconds to yell, shh, through the door. 30 minutes in, Timmy screamed, loud, like something was wrong. I panicked. I turned off my camera, didn't explain a thing, and sprinted to the living room. He'd fallen off the couch. Bloody nose. Ava was crying. The dog from next door was barking through the wall. I forgot the meeting even existed. By the time I got back to my laptop, I had 7 missed messages. Are you okay? Should we reschedule? Do you need to step away for a while? I shut the laptop and slid it under the couch. I didn't open it again for 3 days. On Friday, my manager called me directly email. No meeting invite, just her voice on speakerphone while I stood in the bathroom brushing paint out of Ava's hair. Julia, you're one of our best, but something's clearly going on. I can't talk right now, I said. I really can't. She paused. Is it safe? That question shook me because I didn't know how to answer. Was it safe? I had 2 kids I didn't have legal guardianship of, a job that was slipping, a sister who had vanished, and no backup. It's not dangerous, I said. It's just wrong. She didn't push. We agreed I'd take 2 weeks unpaid leave. She promised my job would be there when I came back, but I could tell from her voice she wasn't sure I would come back. That night, after I got the kids to bed and took the first shower I'd had in 3 days, I opened Instagram. Maya had posted again, detoxing my soul, boundaries matter. I'm done taking care of everyone but myself. I stared at that caption. She said she was done taking care of everyone else, as if I hadn't rearranged my life to raise her children, as if I hadn't sacrificed sleep, sanity, and my job just to keep her secret safe. I was shaking, and that's when I knew she had never intended to come back. Not in 2 weeks. Not in 8. Maybe not ever. This wasn't a vacation. This was a handoff. I spent the rest of the night pacing my living room, my thoughts racing. I didn't want to be a parent. I didn't ask for this, but I couldn't abandon them, not like she had. I made a list of next steps. Look up emergency guardianship laws, find a family law attorney, talk to someone at Child Protective Services, protect myself legally before she tried to flip the story, because that's what Maya did best, rewrite the narrative to make herself the victim, but not this time. This time, I would be ready, because deep down, I had a gut feeling she wasn't done with me yet. There's a moment where exhaustion turns into clarity. You stop crying. You stop negotiating. You stop begging people to do what they should have done from the start, and you just say the word that changes everything. No, it was a Sunday night, exactly 2 weeks since Maya had dropped off her kids with nothing but a suitcase and a smirk. I was sitting at the kitchen table, surrounded by half-finished coloring pages, 2 uneaten grilled cheeses, and a mountain of laundry I had stopped pretending I'd ever fold. The kids were asleep. My heart wasn't. I opened her Instagram again, even though I told myself I wouldn't. And there it was. A new post. Healing isn't selfish. A champagne glass. A pool. Her smiling into the camera like the past 2 weeks had never happened. Meanwhile, I had lost 5 pounds, hadn't slept more than 3 hours a night, and was beginning to twitch when I heard crying, real or imagined. My finger hovered over her name. I didn't want to call. I didn't want to hear her voice, but I needed to end this pressed record and left her a voice message. Maya, it's been 2 weeks. I am done. This is not babysitting. You've abandoned your kids. If you're not here in 72 hours, I'm calling CPS. I'm documenting everything. I'm not bluffing. Get your life together or someone else will take custody of it. I sent. I didn't even feel scared. I felt free, but the silence that followed, that was louder than any scream. 2 hours later, I got a reply that he wasn't a message. It wasn't a call, it was a voice note. 18 seconds of venom. You're such a effing martyr. You think you're better than me? You always have. You're not. You don't know what it's like to be a real mom. You can't handle it. You won't. Call CPS. You don't have the guts. But if you do, don't expect me to protect you anymore. I played it 3 times. Not because I couldn't believe it, but because I could. That last line stuck in my ribs like a splinter. Don't expect me to protect you anymore. From what? From who? The next day, I told the kids we might be moving. Ava looked up from her cereal. Are we going to see mommy? Not yet, I said. But I'm trying to find a better place for all of us. She nodded like she understood. And maybe, in some sad way, she did. That night, I started calling agencies, Child Protective Services, legal aid, family law referrals. Every conversation felt like a confession. No, I'm not the legal guardian. Yes, I have text messages. No, she hasn't sent money. No, she hasn't contacted them. No. One woman on the phone paused and asked gently, are you safe? I didn't know how to answer. I thought I was, until Tuesday night. It was almost midnight when it happened. The kids were finally asleep. I had just taken a shower, the first hot one in days. The apartment was quiet. Still, I was starting to think maybe Maya had backed down. Then I heard it. Glass breaking. Not a loud loud crash, just a sharp, quick shatter, like a bottle against concrete. I froze, then footsteps. Fast, heavy. The back door slammed open. I grabbed my phone and sprinted toward the hallway, my heart slamming in my chest. Then I saw him, a man, masked, in my house. He didn't say a word, just came at me. I tried to run. He shoved me hard. I hit the wall, knocking over a lamp. Before I could scream, he leaned close and whispered, "You should have kept your mouth shut." Then he was gone. I didn't sleep. I couldn't. The police came. I gave my statement. They took prints, asked if anything was stolen. No, I said, just my sense of safety. They asked if I had enemies. I told them about Maya, about the threat, about the message. They said they'd look into it. But the look on their faces said it all. This wasn't their first time seeing family go nuclear. They offered a patrol car to cruise by the building that night. But I knew better. Whatever protection I'd had was gone. The next morning, I got another voice message from Maya. This one was shorter. "You think you can threaten me? Let's see how far you're willing to go. You don't know what I know. Be careful, Jules." My hands were shaking. She was escalating fast. That night, I did something I never thought I'd do. I packed a go bag, not just for me, for the kids too. Toothbrushes, IDs, copies of text messages, USB drive with every voicemail, every photo, every screenshot. Because Maya hadn't just walked away from her kids, she had declared war on me for not staying quiet. By morning, I had an appointment with a family attorney. I brought everything, documents, texts, photos of the house, bruises on my arms from the break-in. He listened, took notes, then said, "You have enough to pursue emergency custody, especially with the break-in, especially with no contact from her. What if she fights back?" I asked. "Then we take it to court. But based on this," he nodded to the evidence, "she won't win." For the first time in 2 weeks, I felt something I hadn't in a long time. Hope. But hope is fragile. And I knew Maya wasn't done. She was just getting started. And the worst was still coming. The man who broke in didn't steal a thing. He didn't take a laptop, a phone, or even cash from the jar near the door. He didn't need to, because what he took wasn't physical, it was something deeper, something far harder to replace: my safety, my peace, my control. And that was the point. This wasn't about robbery. This was a message. I had crossed a line, and Maya wanted to remind me who I was dealing with. The police were polite, professional, but they were limited. No forced entry, the officer said. Just a broken window. No fingerprints. Nothing taken. Could be random. I almost laughed. Random. Nothing about Maya's rage was random. I showed them the messages, the threats, the man's words. "You should have kept your mouth shut." One officer raised an eyebrow. "And you think your sister sent someone?" "No," I said. "I know she did." He sighed, jotting it down like he was filing it under a family drama and not premeditated intimidation. "They promised to increase patrols, gave me a card, told me to call if anything else happened. But deep down, I knew the truth. If I didn't protect myself, no one would." I changed the locks the next morning. I put bars on the windows, bought doorbell cameras, and installed a second deadbolt, all paid for with a credit card already stretched to the limit. The kids didn't understand why the police were at the house. I told Ava there was a raccoon who got into the kitchen. She didn't believe me, but she stopped asking. Maya didn't call again. Instead, she started posting every day. New stories, new captions, more mockery. Let people talk. They can't break what they never built. Some people hate you just for setting boundaries. The only toxic person in your life is the one pretending to be your savior. Each post felt like a middle finger, not just to me but to the truth. I forwarded everything to my attorney. "She's playing games," he said. "But we're done playing." We filed for temporary emergency guardianship. The process was fast, traumatizing, expensive, but necessary. And when the order came in, when I saw that signature, that seal, that court-stamped confirmation that I was legally responsible now, something inside me broke, not in fear, in relief. For the first time, I wasn't just surviving her abandonment, I was undoing it. And then, she showed up. It was 2 days after I got guardianship. I was making pancakes, the kids still in pajamas, the radio on low. There was a knock at the door, not loud, not rushed, just there. I opened it, and there she was, Maya, no makeup, no suitcase, just sunglasses and a hoodie, like she was hiding from her own reflection. She didn't speak for a second. Then she said, "You took my kids." I didn't answer. "You called the cops, filed court papers. You tried to ruin me. You ruined yourself," I said. She stepped forward. "I'll fight this. I'll make sure everyone knows what you did." "Please do," I said, "because I've got everything saved." And I meant it. The photos, the messages, the police report, the witness statements, the screenshots of her posts while her kids cried themselves to sleep in my house. Her face shifted from rage to panic to something I hadn't seen in years: defeat. She didn't say goodbye. She just turned and walked away. That night, Ava asked if Mommy was coming back. I looked at her eyes full of confusion and hope. I knelt down and said the hardest truth I've ever spoken aloud. "I don't know, sweetheart, but I promise I'm not going anywhere." She nodded, then hugged me tighter than she ever had. I didn't get my job back. The damage was done. But I found freelance work, late nights after the kids slept, quiet mornings with coffee and soft cartoons in the background. It wasn't the life I planned, but it was mine again. The silence that followed Maya's last visit wasn't peaceful. It was loaded, dense, tense, with everything unsaid. She didn't call again. She didn't text. No more Instagram stories. No cryptic quotes. Just disappearance. I didn't know if she was planning something or simply embarrassed, but either way, her absence felt like standing in the eye of a storm. And still, I braced for the next wave. The court scheduled a formal custody hearing 2 weeks later. My lawyer advised me to come prepared emotionally and practically. "If she contests the guardianship, we'll fight it," he said. "But this isn't about you anymore. It's about the kids. That's what the court will look at." That hit hard, because it was never supposed to be about me. I was just a sister, the fill-in, the fallback plan. But somewhere along the way, between the night terrors, the school calls, and the pancake mornings, these kids had become mine. Not biologically, not by choice, but by the simple, brutal fact that I stayed when their mother left. Ava had started calling me Julie. Jules' mom. She said it like a joke, but I knew better. She was testing the waters, asking, "Are you going to leave too?" without actually saying it. And Timmy, he clung to my leg every time I left the room. Even if I just went to the bathroom. Abandonment lives in the bones of kids like that. You don't erase it, you just hold them through it. 3 days before the hearing, I got an email that was from a Gmail account I didn't recognize. The subject line, "Let's not do this in court." It was from Maya. She wrote, "I didn't mean for it to go this far. You made it public. I was dealing with things. Mental health. Trauma. You blindsided me. I want to come back, but I want to do it on my terms. I don't want to fight you. Let's just talk." I didn't respond because I had already heard everything I needed. At the custody hearing, she didn't show up. Her lawyer filed a withdrawal notice. No contest. No appearance. The judge looked at me, then at the paperwork. "You've assumed sole responsibility for both minors for over 6 weeks, correct?" "Yes, Your Honor." "No financial support from the biological parent?" "None." "Do you wish to continue in the role of guardian?" I took a breath. I didn't cry. I didn't shake. I said, "Yes, I want them safe. And with someone who won't leave." 30 minutes later, it was done. When I got home, I told Ava. She didn't ask many questions. She just nodded, went quiet for a moment, then said, "Can we have spaghetti tonight?" That was it. No drama. No fireworks. Just a small, simple craving of a child who finally felt safe enough to ask for something without fearing it would disappear. The weeks that followed were still hard. Nothing magical happened. I didn't get some surprise job offer or a check in the mail. I worked long hours, juggled daycare, stretched coupons, and had nights I cried into the laundry again. But the difference, this time, it was my choice. Not a burden dumped on me. Not a trap disguised as love, but a life I rebuilt with my own tired hands. Maya, last I heard, she was in another state. She posted a story from a dusty motel room somewhere in Nevada. A bottle on the table. A new man in the background. No kids. I didn't hate her. I just didn't know her anything anymore. She had her story, and I had mine. A few months later, Ava brought home a paper from school. A draw your family assignment. She'd drawn 3 stick figures, one tall, one medium, one tiny. She labeled them, my Aunt Jules' mom, me, and Timmy. Below it, in clumsy pencil, she'd written, "We live in a small apartment and eat burnt pancakes, but I like it because it's warm and smells like hugs." I pinned it to the fridge and cried. The truth is I never wanted to be a parent. I wanted to be the fun aunt. The background adult. The emergency contact you never actually have to call. But life doesn't ask what you want. Sometimes, it just hands you a door and it's up to you whether you walk through it or let it close. Maya ran from hers. I didn't. Maybe that's what made the difference. And that was the story of how one suitcase, one betrayal, and one dangerous favor changed my entire life. If you're still here, thank you. Stories like this aren't just drama. They're real. They're happening in quiet houses, behind forced smiles, inside family group chats, and maybe, just maybe, someone out there needed to hear this. So if you've ever been the one who stayed, the one who cleaned up someone else's mess, just know you're not alone. You're not weak, and you're definitely not invisible. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if this story hit home. Your support keeps stories like this alive. Let's keep telling the truth even when it's hard.